It's Oscar night. It's the thing about this podcast is that like we record earlier in the week,
Yeah.
and then we don't release it till Friday, and so much happens in between.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, but you know what? We give people a nice little reminder of what happened at the beginning of the week.
Wow. Welcome back to What the Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm John.
Together we are
Ryan and John.
On the couch, as always, producer Cara Tafolla and the lovely Annie Skovmand. It's Oscar night.
Hey, can you focus that camera so the beautiful viewers can see what we're wearing?
See our
How
outfits.
embarrassing.
Yeah, can we go around real quick and just give a little like, who are you wearing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a little.
Who are you wearing? Boys,
John?
who are you wearing?
I am wearing Van Hoosen?
Okay.
Van Housen.
And Goodfellow.
Nice.
Tell your friend.
I'm
Nice.
wearing newscaster chic. Annie?
Which is also...
I'm wearing Nordstrom Rack, circa 2015.
Wow.
Cara?
I'm wearing David's Bridal, circa 2014.
Her former prom dress.
Former prom dress.
Both of our former prom dresses.
Who says you never get to wear it again?
This is the second time I've worn this dress.
I don't
This
think
is
people
the
say that
time.
about
I'm getting
prom
my money's
dresses,
worth.
but I guess.
This-
I should go run into the ocean and...
Wait, call
I'm surprised you
Jordan.
didn't sell that by now.
Oh,
Yeah,
nobody
I
wants
think
to
there's
buy
a
that.
big market
No.
for it now, John.
It's definitely more of a costume piece now.
Yeah.
Okay, still sell it as a costume piece.
Got
I
him.
mean,
Destroyed.
I guess.
Destroyed.
Yeah, but it's kind of a memory.
somebody's going to wear that.
It's kind of a memory,
Somebody's
though.
going to buy that.
Like
Remember
my
Cara?
prom
Collect
dress.
like Cara has all her dolls. Like she's a
Yeah,
she's a
you're a
collector.
collector of sorts.
Okay, the point is that
No,
we've
it's just the
worn
American Girl doll.
our best Sunday best
It's true.
to talk about
High fashion.
the
Sunday's
most
worst.
uneventful the most uneventful Oscars in years. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's it.
There's
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
to unpack there.
Nothing. Actually.
You guys, I am so obsessed. Let me tell you, did you watch the Oscars in real life? Or did you go back and
No, I didn't watch. I don't have cable, so I wasn't. I feel like 81% of the rest of the population, which their numbers were down 81% this year.
Yeah.
That's why I say that.
Nice.
I don't really care. Like when I was younger, I really cared about it. Now I'm like, I could care less what the Academy has to say about it.
And frankly, same. I watched it. We were at Cara's parents' house on Sunday, as we are every Sunday night for dinner. And it was just on. So I was like, okay, I'm watching it. I'm the same way. I'm the same camp. I'm always like down with award shows, hate award shows. We should just boycott award shows.
It's true.
That being said, I think that's a perfect like over arc to this story
It's true.
is that they needed to get people talking about the Oscars.
That was
again.
one of the theories about what happened, in which we'll get into in a second. But is that the Oscars staged it in some way because they were, their viewership is down 81% since like 1996 or something, and that this was going to like create buzz, which I don't think it will. I mean, obviously people are talking about it, but it's not necessarily like I don't think it's going to drive any viewership to the Oscars next year. But I mean, I could be
Maybe.
wrong.
You never know.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it will have us talking about it. Maybe potentially forever. This
'Cause
is one of
last-
those crazy Hollywood legends, I feel.
Well, it's a Kanye moment, not
It's a
to bring him
total
into
Kanye
it,
moment.
We love
because he
Kanye.
wasn't involved this time. But like Kanye going up on the stage and taking Taylor Swift's mic is like
It's
infamous. And
And
this is gonna be
the
that
moment
same
we're
amount.
talking about is, of course, the slap heard round the world.
True.
That's literally what the every single news channel is calling it.
Let's just recap the events for a second.
Yeah,
here.
I thought about maybe pulling up a video, but maybe that's a little much.
And it's a little much. If
Also, if you
you know
haven't
what we're
heard it
talking
now,
about, you've seen it
true.
maybe 100 times on TikTok, on Twitter, on
I've seen
Instagram.
it broken down in like 10-minute videos.
It's
just
so
like
good.
breaking
Gosh.
down the history between Chris Rock and Will Smith and all that.
And let's do it. Let's recap it today.
So if you don't know, the general overview, I'll just do a quick overview, is that Chris Rock was presenting an award and he made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife. And she suffers from alopecia, which is a hair loss.
Well, that's the background. Let's just talk about what we saw.
Oh, okay. So he made a joke, and she said he's excited to see you in G.I. Jane 2, which is a movie about a girl who goes into the military.
Demi Moore,
and she shaves her head anyway, so she doesn't have any hair, and that was the joke. It's like excited to see you in G.I. Jane 2 because Jada Pinkett Smith is bald.
Yeah,
at least at
shaved head.
Yeah. Right. And everyone was laughing, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, like even Will Smith was laughing in the cut that we saw.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Will approaches the stage. And
who was, mind you, sitting with Jada in the front row.
And again, laughing at the joke. Laughing at the joke in the frame.
Yes.
And you see Jada roll her eyes.
So he's like walked. Yeah, Jada is not amused. And he's walking towards the stage. And it did seem like a bit. Like he had like this like weird like
swagger
And
walk.
Chris Rock was like, he was still laughing.
And Chris is like
trying to play it off.
What's
happening?
And Will Smith smacks the crap out of Chris Rock. Just like hard. And then immediately after, Chris Rock is like, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Like literally said it.
Will Smith turns around. He's walking back to his seat.
Yeah.
Chris Rock kind of tries to play it off like, oh, that was crazy. What just happened? He just smacked the shit out of me. Will Smith yells from the audience, which this was bleeped down on television.
Yeah.
And
the second after the slap happened, Chris went, oh, and then our TV at home glitched. It paused.
It was like fully muted.
That 12-second delay is really worth its weight in gold on Sunday.
So we were just hanging there. And you could see, and it cuts to his face, and you can kind of see, we now know from international audiences who, apparently there's no rules out there.
Nope.
No laws.
They played it, they aired it as it happened, and Will Smith says, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. He screams it from the front row.
And you could read his lips because he was
And they had a close up on him. They were like,
it was a tight shot. And Chris was like, it's a G.I. Jane joke.
Yes,
he's
like,
and then
wow.
he repeats it again.
And he says,
keep my wife's name. And
your effing mouth.
And then Chris is like, I'm going to. And then just kind of like stammers,
pauses,
like doesn't really know what to do.
And he says, this is the greatest night on television.
And he plays it off. That's the part that's
And
funny.
then he kind of doesn't know how to recover. He goes, okay, we're here. I'm presenting, and he's presenting an award for
like,
best documentary. And he goes, let's just go to the nominees.
Yeah, go to the
and
nominees.
Cuts away. And the show just keeps going.
Yep. We literally at home, that moment happened, everything glitched, and the parents were all talking because like dinner was getting ready. Or was it after?
We all
dinner? I don't know.
thought,
but then I
watching
went back
that it was a bit.
Oh yeah.
And we like watched it again, and we were like, no, that was real.
Wow. This is how the internet works. I'm not watching the Oscars. I know they're happening. I'm not even paying attention to it. I'm at my house just like hanging out with Jordan. I'm literally in Instagram Reels, which is so random because I'm usually either on TikTok, whatever. So I'm like scrolling through. I see a video of it. I literally see a video of it, and then instantly a text pop up from you that says, "Are you watching the Oscars?" in all caps. And I was like, "No." And you're like, Will Smith just smacked Chris Rock on live television, and I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm literally watching it." But that's how fast.
That's how fast it happens.
Oh yeah. No, the second it happened, Emma immediately went to Twitter.
Yeah,
Twitter was blowing up. Everyone was saying, "Was that real? Is this a bit? I don't understand." And then, the international, they started sharing the clip. Oh, yeah, no, it was real. And here's what he actually screamed. Then 20 minutes later, down the line in the Oscars ceremony, Best Actor comes up and Will Smith is nominated and he wins the Oscar for Best Actor.
And they gave him a standing ovation
in the role of the dad in King Richard.
Which I haven't seen yet. I want to see it. But
he is the dad of the two tennis players,
Venus Williams.
Venus and Serena Williams,
Yep.
where he plays this father, which that's a whole other layer to this crazy story.
Yeah.
He gets up on stage and he does kind of like a half-baked apology, right?
Yeah, and that again, there's so much to unpack on this, so I don't want to get into that because I know we're just kind of doing the overview.
Yes.
But we should pull up what his full speech because there is a lot of like
Sorry.
I'm a protector.
Yes.
Just stop talking.
I'm a protector. I'm a lover, and it was just like, wait, what is going? It was very confusing.
Well,
I thought
he was trying to tie it in to that Richard, the father, was the protector of his daughters.
he
tried to, use
like
it
art
as
imitates life, he said at one point.
Yes.
I'm
So
like,
crazy.
That's what he kept on saying was
But
art
then he kept
imitates
saying
life.
God doesn't want violence too, and it's
He's like,
you
I just
smacked
want
the
to be,
shit out of Chris Rock.
I just want to be a love. I want to be a light and a good force in this industry. And but then he kind of landed on like, I'm going to defend my family,
Yeah.
just like the character that I played.
and I will say the one part that I liked about his, which is the part that he didn't even say, he just was regurgitating Denzel Washington. But he said, and apparently in between the slap heard around the world and his speech, a lot of people like Bradley Cooper and Denzel Washington were like kind of like talking to it, pulled him aside and were like kind of like calming him down and talking to him. And Denzel said to him, which I thought was really cool, that when you're at your highest moment, that's when the devil comes for you, which I thought was a really interesting piece, because obviously this is one of the greatest nights of his life
In his career, his
I
first
would say.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Sure.
But also then he it's also cast this weird gloom because of the way that he reacted, you know. And there's, like I said, so much. All right, then that's the general overview.
That was the night.
I mean, everything
Now-
else, but
We're now recording on Tuesday, so honestly, what's happened between Sunday and now today recording is so much even too that we're going to talk about. By the time this airs, they may be friends again, and they may be starring in a movie together. Who knows?
and they probably
That's
will.
how quickly these things happen.
It
That's
comes
how
out that it
Hollywood
was
rolls.
a bit.
Because the yeah,
Gosh.
right.
There's
Gotcha.
already pictures out there that people have doctored that Chris Rock has like a piece of like protective material on his face, and that it was a bit. Everyone's like, look,
my
there's a piece of
gosh.
silicone on his face that was protecting him.
What?
Okay,
So this
people.
okay, and this is maybe the most interesting part for me is the moments after, the hours, the day after this event happens is all the different takes. The people's
Yeah.
opinions that come out about the topic, defending Will Smith, defending Jada Pinkett Smith, defending Chris Rock, defending the Oscars, like trashing the Oscars. There's 100 ways that people are trying to cut this.
Well, and that was all the post Oscars and like the red carpets of all these big, after parties like Vanity Fair. They were all asking actors like, what do you think about this? And that to me would seem to be the hardest part as just like a actor in that realm.
Yes.
Or actress in that realm, would be how do you interpret that and how do you avoid that question? Because I don't know that if I was there.
Hey, let's try it. I'm here with WTP News. I'm sitting down with, content creator John Albright. John, we just watched a heck of an event tonight.
You're
What
answering
is your
this too.
take? What is your take? Oh yeah, no, we'll all answer it. What's your take on what happened tonight?
Well, okay, if we're pretending like we're in the moment, like I've had maybe an hour to debrief this.
Let's debrief it today with all the information you have. Tell me what you think.
Here's the deal. I think that Will Smith was entirely in the wrong to act that way.
Okay.
I think there's never a scenario, unless you're physically in danger, that responding with an act of violence like slapping someone or fighting back in some sense is appropriate. Now, what I wished he would have done is gone up there and used the moment to say, like, use his
Yes.
words, because I do think he's a powerful wordsmith. Like, he does know how to say the right thing in the right moment usually, but I think he also is, knowing now what I know about his history with Jada and like their relationship, them being in like an open marriage, and it being, I remember a year or a couple years ago when they had the red table talk about their open marriage and how difficult that was for him, So I now knowing all of that, like I can understand where the rash, heat of the moment maybe took over, but at the same time, like,
In what way? What do you mean?
Like
he's still not
So
comfortable
part
in
of-
his marriage.
yeah. So part of some of the analysis that I've been reading and watching over the last is that Will is very kind of uncomfortable, and that maybe there's like a lack of respect between Jada and Will, because that's why they're in an open marriage initially, is because Jada, one, has never believed in like a standard marriage, and has always, and like they weren't in an open marriage up until a couple of years ago, and so there was speculation and rumor that maybe Will and Jada weren't compatible in the bedroom, so to speak.
Sure.
And that could be demoralizing.
Oh
for,
my gosh, who's making these speculations? Like,
Well, there was also a thing which I learned recently is like in the 90s, Jada Pinkett Smith was like tight with Tupac. Was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those two were like maybe more than friends, maybe really, really good friends. And Will Smith was upset about it. And Jada would always say, like, it's just platonic. Tupac would say it's just platonic. And after his death, she was like devastated.
Yeah.
She was in love with him.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And so that's
Who knows?
that's kind of there's already that like, and Will has gone on record by saying like he grew up as a Christian, which I didn't know, and so he has this very like traditional, view of
Mindset
marriage.
of
Like
marriage.
you marry somebody, you stay with them for the rest of your life, and that's
So
kind of
maybe
it,
in the
right?
moment he was defending his wife's honor, because I've seen a lot of people
Yes.
come out and say, good for Will, and even including who was one of the hosts of the night, Tiffany Haddish.
Wanda
Tiffany
Sykes?
Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish.
Yes.
No, Tiffany Haddish.
No.
No, Tiffany Haddish wasn't a host.
She was.
No,
She presented.
She was not.
She
She
presented.
did- she
well,
presented.
maybe she. It doesn't really matter.
she wasn't a host.
Okay, well, we'll have to check on that.
I-
The point is,
Okay.
Tiffany Haddish came out and said that was amazing. Will Smith, her words were, to see a black man stand up for his wife like that on national television felt amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, standing up and then being violent. Standing up is
So that's-
Like I
different.
said,
That's kinda
I
where
would
the
have
conversation
I would
goes.
have I think I would have respected Will Smith if he had again done the same thing, gone
Mm-hmm.
up there, but nixed the slap and was like taking the opportunity to be like, hey, that's not cool, or like like confronted him verbally maybe, but in like a way that made sense. But like the violence, and this is the difference that the people that are realizing is. The violence just seems so contrary to Will Smith's public persona. You know what I'm saying? His public persona has always been like the approachable, nice
Good guy.
good guy, and what he did doesn't necessarily nix that, but it just felt out of character from the Will we know, and so that's why
Sure.
I feel like there has to be some outstanding, circumstances either in their marriage or with himself that he might be struggling with that cause such a rash reaction, because that doesn't just happen. That's not who I don't think that's who he is. And I think maybe he's going through something that caused him to react in a way where he felt like he needed to show some sort of physical dominance.
He doesn't want her leaving him.
And
I mean, maybe, but so much so that he would get up on stage at the Oscar. I mean, the Oscars is like the Super Bowl of movies, right? So now you're gonna get up in front of the Academy and everyone you've like probably ever worked with, and slap the host because you didn't like a joke. And mind you, so this is the other moving part, right? Is Chris Rock is a comedian, and he's made this joke that was maybe a little lowbrow, right? He's
Yes.
made a
Well, and
joke
that's-
about her hair, and he's comparing her to G.I. Jane, and whether or not he knows that she has alopecia, right? He made this joke.
Well, it even is just like off-brand anyway, in the sense that like having a shaved head for many African American women is not an unusual haircut.
Yeah.
That's so normal. So the idea
is.
that he's making a joke about it is what I didn't understand from the first place. Of like, why are you poking fun at this thing that
It's
is
just
like
it's
They
a
have a
weak
history,
joke. Like,
too.
yeah,
they
okay.
had like in 2 years ago, the Smiths boycotted the Oscars.
Yes.
And Chris Rock was hosting that year, and he said, it said like, he brought up that Will and Jada Pinkett Smith weren't coming tonight, and he said like, oh well, I don't know why Jada would come because she's on TV, she's not a movie star.
Yes.
she has. And it was very vulgar joke. I
Yes,
won't go into the details.
I know the joke you're
and it
talking
was
about.
just like she doesn't belong here, kind
So
of thing.
it's not as innocent as we're maybe writing it up to be.
Yes.
That being said, he made a joke, right?
Yeah.
He's a comedian.
And that's been kind of hot in the news too about comedians and where the line is, right? Because comedians have
Because it
been
kind of
dancing that
sets
for the
a
last couple
precedent.
years.
I mean, right? Like Will Smith is this good guy, and he didn't like what this comedian said. Let's even take Chris Rock out of it for a second. All the history is there's a comedian on stage, and Will Smith doesn't like what he said, and he walks up on stage and hits him and cusses him out, right?
opens the door.
So now, what does that mean for next year's Oscars? Can anyone in the front row do that?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little slippery slope fallacy. I don't usually go down those
usually my
roads.
thing. Yeah, that's weird.
But yeah, well, hey.
That's why you wonder
Slippery
if it happened anywhere else, would that person would have been escorted out? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But
right?
this is Will Smith, and he's up for an award that he is gonna win.
Well,
Yeah.
They want to keep him in there.
So what do you think? I mean, should they have
sucks.
escorted him out?
I think
Should they have not given him the
Well,
award?
that's under
gonna be
review,
taken
right?
away.
I mean, that's but then it also calls into question, like, the Academy's credibility. You know what I'm saying? Like why take the award away from him? You know what I'm saying? Because he made a rash mistake. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. And this ties into cancel culture, which we talked before. It's like somebody can make nobody can make a mistake publicly anymore.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Is like, so if they take the Oscar away from him, I'll be honest, I will be a little disappointed because I think he made a mistake and we all saw and we all know he's better than that. And we all maybe lost a tiny little bit of respect for him at the moment for it. But like taking away the award for the work that he like ultimately did that was separate from this mistake, you know, and again, it also probably comes down to like how big of a mistake, right? Because if he's like a Harvey Weinstein, obviously we want to take that crap away
So
too.
where
you know?
where is the line? Is the question?
Where's the
Is
freaking line? They're not the
and
moral police.
Who makes the moral rule? Who makes the like?
Well,
I
did
think-
they take things away from Harvey Weinstein? I don't even know.
You know, they don't take anything away from Will Smith this year, but if he slaps the host again next year,
then maybe
that's fine. But the next
we'll
year,
talk about it.
See,
you know?
I think they should take it away because it sets a precedent for the years to come. Like, you can't do that kind of stuff on live TV because then a bunch of people's jobs are like, okay, we need to mute this here. We need to do this here. Like, you're ruining this entire moment. And then, honestly, the whole rest of the night was so awkward.
But is the award about
also,
the
Like,
night?
why take it away?
Like,
Because what's it going to do? Everyone's going to know he won Actor of the Year and that he got it taken away. So it's just like
Well,
having
isn't
the
it-
award.
I'm guessing because since it's under review, I'm guessing there's all these different
There's
rules
bylaws,
and regulations.
yeah.
I think
of
they're-
who can get an Oscar, why, what they did in their role, who the person is.
I think
see
they're
if he
kind of
violated
doing
any
that
of
now,
them.
and she's talking about the Academy
Yes.
has said that they've launched an investigation, which was when I saw
Yeah.
that tweet, I thought it was hilarious. What do you got to investigate?
Yeah, we all saw it.
We all saw what happened.
I heard they were looking through all of their regulated rules
If
to
somebody-
find if anything violated it.
Yeah.
That's
if
what they were
somebody
doing.
assaults somebody at the award show,
It's not
should
investigating
they
the
not
incident.
be-
It's more like investigating, like, okay, what do we have on paper that we
Yes.
can use to take it away?
Yeah.
Kind of
but
thing.
I don't know if
but-
they would want to, right? Like, because and this is my thing is why, and maybe this is a little like conspiracy theory too, is they let it happen. Is
Yeah.
because Will Smith is Will Smith.
Yeah, he
And
walked
not
up
just
on
know
because,
what he was
not
gonna
because
do,
of the
though.
ratings. That's a little drastic, but they
the way that he walked up looked like he was gonna give him a hug. He was like kind of like jauntily walking up there.
Do you think if anyone else had
It was
done
so
that,
weird.
they would have not just sent security? Hey, security, get this guy out of here. He just jumped up on
No,
stage
because
and
that's more of a
about-
scene. I
They
feel
let-
like
they
they
let
would have been
someone-
like,
Think about someone just as big as him. What
No,
if that was
no, that's
Benedict
what-
Cumberbatch?
No, I'm saying, well, that's kind of the other
I don't know if-
thing is like, it was two black men and like people are saying like, oh, if it was a white guy on stage or if it was a white guy that went up and slapped him, like
Oh,
we
I
would have
haven't-
turned it
I
into a
haven't really
race
been
thing.
hearing that.
That's like the kind of lame side of Twitter, which is trying to turn the whole thing
Oh,
into
I was just
a
thinking of
race
some other
thing.
actor who's just as big as Will Smith.
I think just as big as Will Smith is different. I think if it was somebody, if it was a B-lister, they wouldn't have had any trouble escorting him out.
oh yeah, Jacob
If it was-
Elordi, bye bye.
Who else was in the audience?
Well,
I'm like,
also I know this doesn't really have any bearing on anything, but I don't understand why like Will hung around. I know he was obviously he
Get
knows
his award.
he's up
Yeah.
for an award, but like if I had made that that kind of he
well, in his
because I
mind,
think
I would have been
that-
gone.
even in his speech, he wasn't saying I messed up. He said I apologize. He didn't even say
Yeah.
like, Chris, sorry I hit you. He didn't say that until the next day.
Until-
it's like
funniest
Yeah,
tweet
yeah.
I
2 days
saw
later.
was somebody give Will Smith another Oscar for pretending to be such a good guy all these years.
Yep.
And I was
saw
like,
that too.
why?
Got
I
him.
don't know that that's necessarily like true, but I think it's
Okay,
always funny.
did you guys see the other part of the award show that they didn't show
No.
on TV was Samuel L. Jackson receiving his first Oscar.
Really?
What?
They didn't show it, and it
honorary
was
Oscar.
What's crazy is that it was an honorary one.
Yeah, it's
he
not
has
real.
What for?
appealed over 150 movies to be nominated for an Oscar. Hasn't won any of them, and he received his first one last night, honorary of like his work,
That's hilarious.
and they didn't show
That
it.
feels so
That's one more.
disrespectful.
That's one more thing that just fell to the wayside. You know, Coda, right? That
Yeah.
movie about
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
children of deaf adults, right?
Yeah.
That won Best Picture, and it's like the first of its kind to have like
Amazing.
such
The
like
dad was the first deaf actor
to
There's
win.
something about
receive-
subtitles
So
too,
I
where
looked
it's
up-
like
I
the
looked up
first like
Will
This
Smith's
could have been
winning.
like
normally
such a
subtitled.
this could have
movie
been
in
such an
theaters.
inclusive, like awesome Oscars, despite the fact that like all the attention went away.
went away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awful.
It's hard because it's like
What do you think? Kate? What's Annie? We're here on the red carpet with Annie now. We're gonna hear Annie's
Hi,
take
yes.
on what happened.
yes, I just want to say thank you for this nomination. I really appreciate it.
Best dress,
for my
best dress.
best dress.
Just a just
Nominated. I
conversation,
didn't
not a
win.
nomination.
No.
Actually. Go ahead, Annie. You have the floor.
So why did I get invited?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Great. Moving on.
No, I
ahead.
think it's hard for me because it's the kind of thing like I don't necessarily agree that his Oscar should get taken away, but that's purely because like there's like a boundary, right? Like there are actors in Hollywood that have like very publicly like beaten their wives up and
Yep.
down.
Totally.
And you know what? Like they still won the Oscar 2 years later, you know, things like that where it's like
like sexual assaults.
yeah, like
you know.
just like intense stuff that we just kind of like, you know, it happens. But they're good actors. And here's Will Smith, who like I will say I think he's worked really hard to become like
He's
a
probably
real actor.
truly one of the greatest actors of all time.
And like he's had to really get away from the stereotype that he was kind of had to be brought up in order to have any sort of standing in Hollywood. Like you look at Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and that had to shatter so many, you know, like glass ceilings to
Yeah.
even get accreditation. It ended up being like this huge cultural movement. And it's just so hard to be like he's like truly acting in these real roles and he like wins this Oscar off of something that I think he deserved.
Yep.
And to say that, like, because he slapped someone, he doesn't deserve it. I don't know.
So
did he
you
act out
are-
of line? Like, maybe he should be banned from like coming
Going
back.
to award shows.
Yeah, because you can't just go up and slap someone and disrupt this whole thing. Like, I totally agree with that, Cara. Like, you can't do that, and they should draw like a line in the sand to be like, hey, you
Yeah.
know what? Like, if you get nominated again, that's great. Someone can accept it on your behalf, but you're never allowed back in the award
Crazy.
show. Like, make a
Isn't
stance.
Kanye banned
He's
from
banned
something?
from words, like from stuff that he has said.
He's banned now, and that's kind of the funny thing is people are saying that he should be allowed to come to the Grammys this weekend because apparently anything goes
Hey.
in these award shows.
Hey,
So you are team Chris Rock. Will Smith had no right getting up on stage and hitting.
but here's my thing: like at the same time, hey, this is from a broken human perspective, you
Go
know.
ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, dude, you talking crap about someone's wife, like you're gonna get hit. You know, it's that TikTok sound that's like, hey, if
I
you're
feel
gonna be
like in
stupid, you better
normal
be
life,
tough.
Not in Hollywood life.
It's
But,
the
like-
classic saying "f around and find out." You know,
Right?
it's like
And should he have done it after? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I think that would have been a much
Go
better
to commercial
like,
and then go hit him.
yeah. Oh, it would have been great. I think, and I think
Interesting.
everyone handled it really well in the sense like Amy Schumer, I think was the like one that broke in after the commercial break. And she was like,
so funny. It was like 3 commercial breaks afterwards. And cause she came in like a Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
And it was like a good
So
20
not
minutes
funny.
later,
Hey,
she
hey,
came in
that's
and
what
she
we're
was
talking
like,
about right now.
hey, I was spending all the time getting out of my Spider-Man costume. What'd I miss? It's
That was pretty funny.
the vibe is a little weird in here.
she's like the energy has
Amy Schumer-
shifted.
so funny.
Unpopular opinion: Amy Schumer
I
shouldn't be there either. For
No.
being-
This is
she hasn't made a movie in her whole life, as far as I'm concerned.
I normally do not like her. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to watch any like things that she
God.
acts
Yeah.
in.
She's
but
also
she was a really
huge
funny
copyright, by the way.
host.
Yeah.
Her stuff was really funny.
I
Well,
also
that's
like
not
her
hers, and
interviews.
They probably wrote that stuff for her.
Yeah.
Her interviews are really
It
interesting.
was her and Wanda Sykes and that other woman
Wanda Sykes.
who was she was in a Hulu series with Melissa McCarthy, and she was so funny.
Also,
but it was so good.
I'd like to say, go on record by saying Julia Fox. We're done with her.
Who?
Julia Fox.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Ye's muse.
Oh.
Julia Fox.
I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
The Josh Safdie girl.
Oh,
But did
was
we
she
ever
there?
ask Josh Safdie?
She was there.
Wait,
And she,
what?
yes,
When he went Uncut Gems.
that Uncut Gems girl.
The Uncut Gems girl was at the Oscars.
Yes, I don't know why. She
They invited a lot
literally-
of TikTok people.
She literally no, she's not a TikTok person. She's
Well,
like
I know her from
she's some sort of model / musician.
Huh.
She is
Regina
so-
Hall
Yeah,
What?
she was the other host.
Sorry.
Oh, Regina Hall. Yeah.
Yes.
Julia
she was
Fox,
hilarious.
I'd like to be done with her as a society. I think we can stop putting her in front of a camera.
I didn't really know who
please.
she was in the
Okay.
first place, so
But
she hasn't
Interesting
really made
take.
an impact.
circling back to Chris Rock, Will Smith, and we talked about this a little bit when we were kind of going over what we were going to talk about. In this unpopular opinion, like I'm just out of their bodies of work that they've produced, like I think I'll forever stand by that. I think Will Smith has produced better things than Chris Rock.
Do you think that?
Marty.
So wait, does that
Marty.
justify? Does that
Marty.
justify?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. There's no.
Yeah, go ahead, fix that.
There's no, but like in the sense where it's like, oh, if we're taking teams, who's right, who's wrong? I go, I think you both have done stupid crap in your life. I think you've hurt each other, and like, I think Will Smith hit you. Like, okay, like you can hit him back. Have a fist fight.
And you know
Duel.
what?
Like,
And you know what?
Figure
He
it out.
did
You're
it.
men.
That kind
I
of
mean,
showed who the bigger person
That's
was.
kind of the crazy thing
Yeah.
is that dude kept the show going. He didn't
Yeah.
retaliate. He didn't say, because you can almost
He was
see on
just
his
so
face
shocked.
when he takes a beat and he's like, "Wow, okay, I'm not going to," and he goes, "No, never mind." Like
Yeah.
he fully had one
Yep.
in the chamber.
Yep.
He fully was gonna rip into Will Smith about how his wife is cheating on him or something.
Yeah.
but he
Well-
just went, "Okay, well, here's the nominees."
And then that's my thing too. Is like Chris Rock. What have you done to like in the last 2 years that deserves to be like
Annie.
a host? Like what's he done? If you bring
Chris
up
Rock?
Grown Ups.
Chris Rock? No, just his work on SNL and his work as a comedian.
No,
and
but I mean like recently. Like I get like in his whatever. Fine.
He was just presenting it
Respect
because he
real
won
where
that
real
category
is
before,
due.
right?
Okay,
or something.
Chris
like that.
Rock is great. What's that?
He was just presenting because he's won in that category, right? I don't even remember what
the
category
documentary
was.
category.
So this is
Like, yeah,
something
why was he
I didn't
even
know about
presenting it?
Eater. And this is also kind of ironic. Is Chris Rock helped make this documentary about Black women and about Black women's hairstyles and how in the media, I'm not making this up. In the media, like they're so, looked down on, and it's like, because that's like such a racial stereotype, like, oh, Black women's hair is like nappy and
Maybe
right,
that's
like,
why
and
the
they
joke
wear
was extra
weaves.
funny.
I think that's why it was maybe like that's the part that was kind of a curveball that I'm like, okay, but like, don't you know then, like, not to joke about it?
But did he actually help or did his money help?
He was interviewing the dude,
Oh.
the people. He was the dude interviewing people.
Yeah.
Weird. And then it's like, okay, now you look so ignorant because
Like,
you literally
so
worked
he
on this
obviously-
project
he
just for
obviously
money.
had like said a joke that
So
they
maybe
wrote
he
for
wrote
him.
it and he was literally like, "This might cross the line."
I
But
think
I'm
he
a
doesn't.
comedian.
I think he doesn't like. I mean,
The
he clearly
Smiths.
doesn't like Jada Pinkett Smith, and it's weird is that he does seem to be decent friends with Will Smith, which also might have fueled why he made the joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, if
Maybe
if
just
there's-
wanted to be like tongue in cheek and
Yeah.
Well, and if
oh, I'm the
there's
funny guy on
issues
stage.
with
Maybe he has a big crush on Jada Pinkett Smith.
even
Yeah,
if
he was
there's
being
issues
mean to
between
a
Jada
bully.
and Will.
Uh-huh.
And he would obviously be like privy to that if he was friends with Will. Then maybe that's why he's so harsh towards Jada. I don't know, but
Maybe it's that deep, and maybe it was just like a crass joke by a comedian during an award show.
Isn't he known for being kind of crass too? Like,
More or less, like, yeah. So it's like, okay, so does that mean, like, is what he says up there on stage, like, would he have said anything that warranted somebody walking up on stage and hitting him? Is my thing,
No.
and I don't think so. Maybe.
What's
When a
interesting
comedian
is
makes a joke that's over the line, they just get booed or like.
well, and somebody was saying
Right.
that somebody brought that
And they did
brought that
boo
up.
him.
They said like that. I think it was Dallas McLaughlin. We've had him on the show.
Yeah.
He literally said like
He had great, his
Yeah.
Twitter was popping off the whole night.
He said the joke didn't land.
Yep.
And he's like, Chris got nothing out of that.
Yep.
Like
You heard
nobody
it,
thought it
too.
was funny.
Yeah.
And he's like that it could have been its existence, and everyone been like, that was a bad joke.
Yep.
So maybe that's why Will Smith had the reaction that he did, because
The crowd pumped him
Jada
up.
rolled her eyes, but he laughed at it. And he looked over and realized, oh shoot, that
Dude.
hurt her feelings.
I don't even think she
didn't
rolled
like
her
it.
eyes. She was like
ice queen.
Yeah, she
She
fully
was
was.
ice
She fully
queen.
was. So,
She knows how
but
to
really,
throw
is that
daggers.
gonna warrant such a visceral
like that.
response that he'd jump up on like, I don't know, like
That
I keep
just
Yeah,
going
that
back
just
to that,
shows
like,
me his anger
sense.
issues too.
he's got anger issues.
like there's stuff
Or,
going
like,
on.
Yeah, he's
you never
going
know,
through something.
right? Like you never know. I would hate
never
to
know.
I would hate to put this like on him, but like you never know like if he had anything in his system that like
Oh, yeah.
made him
That too.
hyper aggressive or whatever, or like
maybe.
he was drunk, maybe he was like you just never
Yeah.
know. Like you don't know. Maybe he didn't sleep for the last 2 days. Like, and none of these are excuses for violence, but like there could be
Paints a
another
different picture.
Yeah, there could be like an added thing that we just truly don't know about.
That's true.
I think they probably have worked it out. I don't think that there's probably
Or at least they're-
let's talk about the aftermath here. Is Will Smith Monday morning, afternoon, posted his apology to Chris,
Yep.
right? He had his apology at the awards show, kind
And
of
to the
tied into
viewers.
his award-winning speech,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And then he posted just like a black image with white text and basically said, like, I'm growing, like, I'm trying to be better. Chris, specifically, I'm sorry, like, I acted out of line, all of that. He made his apology. Jada posted a picture that just said, it was something weird.
I pulled up. It's like, it's
Will
a
you pull it
season
up
of
for me?
growing
This is a
and-
season of growing and I'm here for it, or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's all she posted.
And what's his
Chris
their
Rock
son?
still has yet to respond. Did who?
Yeah, he's icing it. He's like,
Their son, what's his name? Jaden.
yeah, Jaden.
Jane Smith.
He tweeted like right as it was happening, and he said like, "That's how we do it." I was like, "Oh god!"
Yikes!
I'm sure even Will.
What's
was
he
like,
gonna?
"What
What's
are
he
you
gonna say?
doing?"
I can't believe my dad is doing that right now on stage.
Right? Yeah.
Well, don't
That's
say
it. Hey,
anything.
what's up?
You know what
That's
I'm
how we
saying?
do. Oh, really? You're gonna talk bad about my mom on the Oscars, Dad? Get up there.
You know what's funny? And we talked about this a little bit before.
No, I don't agree with
It's
that.
like, why would he say? Why would he
Sure.
say anything? You know.
We
Right.
talked about this like a second before we started recording. But I think we all saw is Jim Carrey's take on it.
Oh yeah.
This was I didn't
Which was
realize I was
so
waiting for him to weigh in,
interesting.
but I
Yep.
think I'm in team Jim Carrey more than
Yeah,
anything.
before and everyone else is in the wrong except for Jim Carrey.
He basically said like this was a mockery of an award show. He's like, it took all of the importance out of it. It took he's like, we're
Well,
not
yeah, it happened and the whole rest of the night was ruined.
we're not the cool club
Yeah.
anymore. But
Yeah,
his
that was my
point was
favorite
like
part.
they didn't address it. Like
Yeah.
it happened and so much so, and I'm in agreement with this too, is like you said, Denzel Washington, Bradley Cooper, these guys were like hugging him and they were checking on Will Smith, like, oh, are you all right, dude? Like, oh my gosh, that was rough up there.
well,
Like
I guess they were calming him down. I guess Will Smith was gonna go do something else, and
Re-
they were calming
really,
him
like,
down.
oh, okay, so let's get Bradley Cooper. Like, like, let's hug it out. Like, it's okay, Will. Like, who's checking on Chris Rock? Like, where's Chris Rock? We don't know. Obviously, there were no pictures, but
Yeah.
maybe they were. I don't know. The point is everyone in the audience was like, oh my gosh, crazy. And then shrugged it off. And it's like, okay, have a great night. Will Smith's the winner. It's like, that was like a mockery of Hollywood right there. Like,
yeah.
Show goes on.
and Jim Carrey said if it was like, if he had done that, if he had walked up on stage, he's like, there's no accountability. If I would have, no, he said, if I would have been the one on stage and got slapped, he's like, I would have, you would have heard me the next day. I'm suing Will Smith for $200 million or something.
Yeah,
Well-
because it was this is going to be talked about for years and years.
He's like,
and years
Like
and years.
this is his career now.
Yeah.
Because they
Like-
had asked him, they're like, what do you think about Chris Rock not pressing charges? He's like, he's like, he doesn't want to go through the hassle. I, for one, would go through the hassle.
Yeah, and I like what he said about maybe we're not the cool kids anymore.
Like-
Maybe this isn't the cool kids club anymore. I was like, wow, it's so
Goofy.
telling. And he's also, for whatever reason, has had this weird clarity about Hollywood in
Yeah,
the last couple of years.
he's a
In and
little
out,
much.
in and out. Yeah,
Well,
I mean, he's making that Sonic 2 movie, so
So hey, listen.
maybe he's doing okay.
Guys
Did
gotta
you
eat.
see
Okay.
Ricky Gervais's comments on the
No, I'm
Oscars?
sure what he has a lot to say.
So he obviously mocked the whole incident that happened, but he also like brought up this point I saw where he's kind of like making like in the similar realm of Jim Carrey, we're like making fun of the Oscars in general because he's like the gifts in these gift bags like sometimes like add up more than the paychecks that these other people who make these movies are getting. Like this is
Wow.
ridiculous. Like just kind of making fun of like we are
It's like
so
a big "we're awesome" contest.
yeah, it's like we're so elite that we make ourselves more elite by just like rubbing it in the elite's
little
faces.
gold man handout.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's like he was just kind of like being like, yeah, this is all stupid, you know? And I thought that was interesting, like bringing up those points of like how much are these parties that for the 1% to go hang out and watch the other like their
Sure.
other 1% friends get like awards. Like
so what's his point? Like, we shouldn't be talking about any of it because none of it matters, or
kind of, or like if you're gonna point out something stupid that they're doing, like look at all the other stupid things that are happening with
oh
this.
yeah, totally, absolutely.
Like the
I
more
mean, they were
important
giving
ones.
they gave Will Smith, right, the guy that jumped up on stage and smacked somebody. When they announced the winner for best international film, right, and it's this Japanese guy, and he jumps up on stage and he's like doing his thank you speech, and I think he got like 2 lines in. He's like, he said something and the music comes in and he's like, hold on, one more thing, and they're translating for him, and he's like, and I want to thank these people, and these people couldn't have done it without you. The music comes back in and he's like, okay, one more thing, and then they just like pushed him off stage.
Yeah.
They're like, great, okay, there's our international category.
And they
What
gave
the
freaking
heck?
Will Smith
We're
like
gonna
3
joke.
minutes. Yeah.
Well, and it's just
Lame. Like,
yeah, it just proves how
okay.
lame this is. Like, you guys don't care about art. You don't care about any of this.
you
This
care
is
about like who's cool and being woke is like,
yeah.
What somebody told me, we were talking about the Oscars. This was pre the actual Oscars.
Okay.
And I was talking to them and I was like, I don't really understand. Like the Oscars are kind of like kind of pointless. And they were like, yeah, you know why the Oscars were invented? And I was like, no, of course not. And they were like, well, back in the day, there was no like streaming service or social media. And he's like, so for some of these films to like sell more tickets, they created this, the Oscars,
Yep.
so that when they would win awards, that people would go out and see those movies and it would drive up ticket sales. And he's like,
That makes sense.
but now that there's streaming services and social media, he's like, there's absolutely zero need for something like the Oscars, other than the idea that you could just win an Oscar. It's like become like a thing that you
we
can
kind of
win an
talked about
Oscar.
this last year when we had our big like the Oscars are stupid episode.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is like, and actors have gone on to do interviews and talk about this. It's like, if you are nominated for, let's say, Best Actor, you go because you're saying, okay, if I win this award, then I'll be not, actor John Albright. I'll be Academy Award winning
And I'll get
John
more
Albright.
jobs.
And studios see that and they go, okay, that will book him because that looks
Yep.
better on a marquee than John Albright, the nobody. And so it's like a big like networking thing. You're there because you're hoping to win the award so you can go talk to, Guillermo del Toro so he'll, hire you for his next movie. And it's like, it's just a big night of like, measuring ourselves. Like, what's up? Like, I won an award.
Yeah,
Well,
I
even
just think
with,
it's lost its potency with the public, obviously, because we saw 81% down since the 1990s.
This
Absolutely.
is a stupid element too, but even like the fashion, right? Like,
Yes.
look at Cara and I.
I mean,
Fashion
look at you guys.
icons.
Yes.
This
You're
is
probably
fashion.
wearing millions of dollars worth of Swarovski diamonds right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw
exactly.
an interesting thing about the fashion.
Let's hear it.
It was about Kristen Stewart, and I
Okay.
guess
Love.
she has been in a contract with Chanel for, I don't know, years and years and years, and like, specifically for the last like 5 years, they've been putting her in the same exact like getup, like either a really short skirt and a suit jacket top, or really short shorts and a suit jacket top, and all these people now
Interesting.
are like, poor Kristen Stewart, like she's stuck in this like 20-year contract with Chanel,
sucks.
and she like isn't gonna be able to express her fashion, whatever.
I think there is like a contract revolution thing happening in a lot of industries now, where back in the day you would sign these long contracts, and you see it even with like sports players,
Yep.
But they would sign these long contracts, and then you realize like what? Like, why am I in this like
15-year
freaking
contract.
long? And whereas,
I keep stepping on it. I'm
it's right
sorry.
when I start talking to
That's weird.
Cut off.
Everyone starts clapping.
Like, what is the perfume or the cologne that Johnny Depp does? How long is
Sauvage.
that contract for? Because I feel
my
like he's been in those
gosh.
commercials for years.
And then you
it's
have
like-
like the Pepsi contract with Beyonce where she
Yeah.
like signed this $1 billion contract, and I literally have never. I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 ads of her in Pepsi. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what
And it's-
contract is that either?
Yeah.
It's just like hard because you watch these people. There's like millions upon millions of dollars put into these outfits, and then it's just for like people to be like, worst dressed, they're hideous. That's like,
And then they
90%
change
of the
halfway through the night.
Yeah, and 90% of the
into
time
something
they have no
different.
choice. It is like,
Oh, yeah.
their
Their agent
managed, their
told them,
agent,
yeah.
their
Yep.
people are like, hey, you know, we cut a deal with this designer. They're willing to pay you blank amount to wear this, and then you're like slapped on like Tracy Ellis Ross. I love her. I just
Don't
like
know.
love her as a person.
Yeah.
I love her interviews. I love just her, you know, the like products she's put out, the, you know, TV shows she's done. But then she like gets slapped on the worst dressed list, or like Venus
Yeah.
Williams has a nip slip because they put her in this outfit. It's like,
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes.
and it's like
Yes,
these things.
we
It's
saw
like this
that.
is she's coming.
Hey, any press
It
is
was
good
long.
press.
Like she's coming on behalf of like
it?
her life story has been made
Yeah.
into this movie that is being nominated and, you know, like recognized. And as Will Smith is like, you know, kind of saying thank you for letting me be a part of telling your story, they switched to like her and Serena and her nipples out, and like
It's just
that was
out
another
in
part
the open.
on the
Really?
on our TV was it goes to her and then it starts flickering really quick between her and Will Smith and then back to her, and then we saw her nipple and they're like, that's why they keep switching, because they're thinking it's gonna like her dress will shift, and
I
then they
think
did
they were-
a
I
tight
think
shot
they didn't-
of her.
What I think happened is like they rushed to like make the shot on them, the Williams family. Like they didn't know he was going to start talking about them, and so they like rushed over to put the camera on them. But then they realized like, oh my gosh, her nipple's out, and so they rushed to get it
Yeah.
out. Like, it's just funny.
it's just like things like that where you're like, okay, well now that's gonna be her life story for the next, you know,
And
like
whole
6
thing.
weeks, 2 months.
I think
you
that
know,
one was pretty forgettable.
Right,
Like,
but-
it was barely noticeable.
well, but then like,
You had to be
okay, do
looking.
you remember the Janet Jackson nip slip?
that?
I mean, that was a little
full
more.
boob.
That was
That's
a
the
full
number.
boob.
You know, that's the number one day in the year that people watch TV is the Super Bowl. So I mean,
But
Yeah,
the thing that's so
everybody
Never
was.
lived that,
Hey, nobody's dropping by 81% in that category.
What's kind of good for
I know.
her is that the whole Will Smith thing.
yeah,
I haven't
oh.
seen anything about
No,
any kind of
nothing.
nip slip.
nothing. No one's
Nothing.
been talking about the nip slips except for us.
She planned it, and she's like, "I wanted to get some fame, but
She's like,
Everyone talk about
"Dang it,
Serena.
where's
She's
Lan?"
trying-
She already has.
for real."
But like, I saw this thing about Janet Jackson where she goes like, "I've apologized for years about
Yeah.
it, like, but I'm done apologizing for something
Yeah.
that was a pure accident."
Oh
Like,
yeah,
Well,
totally.
because
That's hilarious.
people always think it's planned. That
Oh,
specific
Well,
thing,
you want
they
to talk
think it's
about
planned.
the patriarchy, Annie? I mean, that's like,
I just
yeah.
want to
What,
point out,
why
I
would
didn't
she
bring it
need
out. I
No,
didn't even bring it up this
no,
time.
you do in
Yeah,
general.
wow.
I'm saying. So if you want to right
Yeah,
now,
oh, no, yeah,
why would
let's
she
do
have to
it.
apologize for that? Like, you
Because
know,
men suck. Because
That's
they're
what I'm
like, you hurt Justin Timberlake. Justin
Yep.
Timberlake hurt Justin Timberlake years ago when he
Yes.
had that ramen colored hair. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Dang,
like, let's just
wow.
leave him in
A
the
lot of
past.
intense.
Dang.
Another thing that
Emotions.
happened was in the in memoriam, they did not include Bob Saget.
Yeah.
Left out Bob Saget in the in memoriam.
And you think like, oh, he was a TV guy.
Yeah, I guess that
but
would be
he
the
was
argument.
a director in the 80s.
Sure.
He directed a movie. Like
Producer.
he
Also,
did
it's
movie
Bob
stuff.
Saget. Like, how do
Bob
you how do
Saget
you
really
miss
gonna
that?
you're gonna not have Bob Saget.
Like unless they put it in next year's because of the cutoff time. But
Well,
I
while
saw
we're-
the
while we're
memes where they
talking
added
about,
Chris Rock into the memoriam, and that cracked me up.
That was
yeah,
pretty
that one
funny.
was pretty funny.
While we're talking about in memoriam, I do want to take a minute to talk about Taylor Hawkins,
Yeah.
the powerhouse drummer, the absolute force of nature, the drummer for the Foo Fighters, passed away right about when this last week's episode aired, last Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
they have subsequently canceled the rest of the Foo Fighters tour, so
Yeah.
we'll not be
Yeah, I
seeing
can't
them
imagine.
this
In
summer.
August. So
And
What's
Oh,
crazy
you
is
were
I
gonna see
feel
them?
like connected
yeah, I was
to
supposed
it
to see him.
because we all just went and watched like what a couple
Studio
weeks ago.
The
we-
Studio 666
And
movie.
We watched their
I don't
movie.
remember who posted. It was one of the members of the Foo Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Put how weird is it that we just put out this movie? Or no, it was like someone watching it. It was like
Mm-hmm.
how weird that I'm watching this new movie that just came out and this guy just passed away.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just it's weird.
And they were on tour. They're in their prime. Like they've been around for some 20 years now. They're still like they were hitting a stride. Like
Yeah.
they were, in South America, like they're doing a world tour, and it's like now they have to cancel because they did unfortunately release a toxicology report, and he had 10 different substances present in his body at the time.
And his
he
heart
died.
was 2 times the size.
His heart blew up
It
twice the
literally
size.
burst.
Which is just so sad. And we had kind of touched on this, like when Bob Saget died, we talked about this. It's like when you see that headline,
Found dead in apartment.
yeah, like you just kind of, and it's someone who's in that world of Hollywood and music and acting. Like, unfortunately, the first thing you go to is some sort of, substance
and
abuse.
he struggled his whole life with it, his whole career. Like Dave Grohl talked. I just finished reading. It's like all weirdly coming to a head for me.
Yeah.
Just we went and saw that movie. Like I've been a fan of the Foo Fighters like for years. I just finished reading Dave Grohl's book, and he talks about he kind of recounts like walking through addiction with Kurt Cobain and like having to see him go down the road that he did, and then eventually he passed away, and it's one of the most devastating moments of his life. To have to go through it again, I mean, he was like, there was one story he told where he was in the hospital with Taylor Hawkins for like 48 hours or something before, like, because he had overdosed, and he was like waiting for him to wake up, and he did. And so it's just devastating, like to have to go through all of that again. And it sucks. It sucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like weird. I'm interested to see what, Dax Shepard ends up saying about it, because I feel like he is such a vocal voice in Hollywood of like,
About abuse.
of struggling with addiction, and like that there needs to be support for these people in this world. And what's so interesting is I've learned so many other people in Hollywood stories of like struggling with addiction from his podcast, because he like Max Greenfield from New Girl, who plays Schmidt, like turns out like he and Dax Shepard first met in Alcoholics Anonymous, and like he shared that on their story and he's talked about it. And I guess it's been like a known thing in like smaller circles in Hollywood, but like the world didn't know about it.
Yep.
And it's that kind of thing where it's like, man, a lot of people need to be more vocal and like be able to reach out and help their friends, because I guess like that's like a network that really is just needed in Hollywood.
And in the world too.
Oh, yeah.
It's like one of the leading causes of death in this country is we're like knee deep in this freaking opioid crisis. And I don't know who needs to like hear this right now, but I didn't tell these guys I was going to say this, but just be there for your friends. And if you are struggling with this, like just freaking get help, man. Like there's this life is so short, and oh gosh, it just sucks, man. Like nobody needs to die that way. So
Yeah.
sorry guys.
For sure. No,
It sucks.
sorry.
It's been on my heart a lot lately. So
Yeah. And I know how much. Well, the reason we saw the movie is because you and Kat both really love the Foo Fighters, and that was something you wanted to see. So we knew that. I mean, I know that it was going to be a tough one for you specifically. What's funny is when I heard about it from Kat, and I immediately thought of you because I know how much you love the band.
Yeah.
So, no, man, I get it.
Brian, I just gotta
Sucks,
say,
dude.
when you pulled out I didn't tell them I was gonna say this.
I was like,
I had a wave
yeah.
of Brian. If you're telling us, if you're admitting to something right now, we can do this off the air.
Let's stop recording.
Let's
No.
sit down, and I want to be present for you.
no.
Okay, got it.
When that time comes, it's not going to be on the podcast.
It will
Thanks.
not be on the podcast.
It may look like that was about to happen. I'm so hot and sweaty right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
It's
really warm in
I
here.
didn't connect like
Yeah,
wearing
you guys
a
have
suit.
jackets on. Oh,
We-
you have a sweatshirt on.
At the beginning of the episode, we always turn
Yeah.
off the air conditioning, and it's a little tiny room. I'm in a suit
No,
jacket.
it's actually it's a giant room.
We're in a
mansion.
gigantic
We have
warehouse
a
in
lot of
the
funding.
San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, and we all have houses in Santa Monica.
Yeah, this dress has a lot of layers.
Can you
Lot
not
of
see
layers.
these dresses? Obviously, we have money.
Money.
That's right.
Yeah,
Money.
That's right.
obviously Swarovski has.
Lots of money.
So, final thoughts: Team Will, Team Chris, John.
I mean, I really can't. It's not. I would say I'm definitely probably Team Chris. I think Team Chris handled it the best.
Yep.
I do love Will, and I really think he is going through something, and I'm really sad that he made the reaction that he did. But ultimately, Chris handled it the best.
It's a loaded question too, because both can be wrong. You know,
as
I'm saying it, I'm like,
yeah. The reality is, like, I'm not standing behind the action he took, like the actual like physical.
In the moment, no one should have been.
No. But at the same
Right.
time, it's like that to me. Especially on the stage that he was on, it might be a cry for help in another area of his life. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe he's dealing with a lot,
Absolutely.
like all these guys are. But yeah, I'm ultimately Team Chris, of course, because he handled it the best, I thought.
I think I am too, but it is. I mean, there's no reason to like be like, yeah, like Chris Rock was right. Like comedy can be funny, and it can also not have to be at somebody's expense.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh yeah.
Which is just like a different philosophy. Obviously, there's comics that make their whole career on ripping on people and, you know, political comics. And I think that's whatever. It's not exactly putting good vibes into the world, but it's not like a wrong thing to do to like do that. So
It's also like, I hate this.
Go ahead.
I guess I'm Team Chris.
it's like I said, loaded question. So
Because
I'm not going to
No
hold you
wrong
to
answer.
it.
my thing is like, hey man, there's already a war in the world. We don't need to be adding more violence.
Right. But it's
We
so,
don't need more
I feel
of
like
that.
that's kind of the other funny part about everyone's opinions is like,
It's like there's a lot of literal
like,
war.
oh, you think that? Well, what about it's like, so like, what aboutism? Like that just, oh, you think Will Smith smacking Chris Rock was bad? What about the war in Ukraine? I literally saw an unironic tweet that was like, Putin has manufactured the Oscars this year to be the most distracting so that we wouldn't pay attention to
yikes.
like we're gonna find out Monday morning like, oh, Russia nuked the Ukraine or something, like
Gosh.
which is not true, but like
In like happier news of Russia and Ukraine, I read today that there are talks of a ceasefire. So
I saw that.
that's super
Yeah,
exciting.
peace talks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
excellent.
Peace
Yeah.
talks.
Good to hear.
It's actually really surprising considering like Putin's persona. I thought for sure he just like would double down on it, but
It could be a
think
gotcha.
It could be that a lot of the people who were following him are now like backing
they've
off.
frozen up a lot
Two-thirds
of his
of
financial.
of his
Well, did you
country,
see?
right?
They made their own like Russia. I'm giving credit to Russia where credit's due in the sense that they're like they're trying to like keep their actual like country alive in the state of war. I feel like a lot of times when you go to war, like such a power, like you lose your own infrastructure because like it's really just going like you focus your whole government, everything on this. But when
hey, good for them.
No,
They're
but
doing
I'm
great.
saying
Yeah, good job,
that
Russia.
they
Yeah,
had all
Big
of
shout out to
these-
Russia for keeping it together.
They had all these, you know, they had all of these sanctions put on them, and they like decided to make their own form of money, like everything, like their own and like economy
Without Putin.
without everything like inside of Russia. Like Russia has its own like
Yikes. They're trading
isolated, like
bottle caps right now.
And it was just like I saw like the video of them like, you know, showing off the credit cards or
Oh my
whatever, as if this is
gosh.
supposed to be like how exciting for Russia. I was like, oh
Gosh.
yes, how exciting. The rest of the world has rejected you, and you made
So
debit
rough.
cards.
So rough.
Wow.
Kara,
Yes.
Team Russia or Team Ukraine? No, sorry. What was the question? Team Chris or Team Will?
Rocker Smith.
Oh gosh. I'm saying Team Chris. Team Chris.
Yeah.
Team Chris.
Team Chris.
because he didn't deserve to get hit, and Will Smith just take the joke and boo him. Just
Yeah.
boo him. You could have sat in
him
your chair
after.
and still
You
know
cussed
what
him
would've
out.
been great?
Who cares?
Yeah.
He should have got up
He
and
should
hit
have
him.
just put his arm around his wife and just loved
Yep.
on her, and then backstage go talk to Chris. Hey, Chris, that was a little out of line there, pal. And
Or even what
maybe
Chris said,
cuss him out
still
there.
yell at him. Yeah, you could yell at
You
him.
could have sat in your seat and said, "Keep my wife's name out of my effing mouth." It wouldn't have been that bad.
I think the
I don't
battle,
know.
the
Still
battle might have
aggressive,
been
but-
best fought in the post interviews. Like, if I was Will, I would have waited till like the interview afterwards and been like, "Yeah, that
on
joke
the
wasn't
red
funny,"
carpet,
you know, like, but
like
meh.
on the red carpet, he's interviewing whatever, and Will Smith's just like,
Well, not physical violence. I'm saying like
No,
in the interviews,
physical
he should have
violence.
Challenged
Will Smith being
him
like,
to a
"Yeah, I don't think he's
duel.
that funny. It's really sad that he's gotten."
He
this
should have
bad."
walked up on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's the better way. Here's how
Yeah.
it should have gone.
Back to
paint
back.
the
Walked
scene,
up on
paint the
stage.
scene.
Took off his. Is the camera on me, Kara?
Oh my god!
Took off his glove. You've insulted my wife's honor, and I challenge you to a duel, pistols at high noon, right? Or
And
at dawn,
walk down.
and then walk back to his seat. Chris Rock would have still been stunned. Everyone would have been like, okay, let's see how this goes. And then they would have dueled, Hamilton style.
We were saying that his
Aims his pistol
his
at the
like
sky.
what's it called? His backswing.
Dude, it
whatever
was
is.
so intense.
It looked like instead of slapping, he was gonna go in for a punch.
Yeah.
But changed his mind and slapped.
I'll tell
Probably
you
because
what.
he's like, don't want to go to
He
prison.
knows the dramatic flair of a slap, though. The
Oh, yeah.
form was like,
It's funny because
Movie
he
slap.
had
yeah.
such a wind up, and then it kind of was like that, like almost as
Oh,
if in
I
the moment
read-
he was gonna
I read
just
an article-
drop him, but then he kind of was like, oh shoot, maybe
I read
should
an
just give him
article
one of those.
little tappy.
of a
little tap,
worker or producer backstage, and they in this article they said that the slap was so loud it sounded like a sound effect.
Another reason why it was probably a bit.
see,
Right.
and props to Rock, because I would have probably just walked off stage and be like, okay,
Oh, me too.
I'm done. He probably would, maybe he was worried about looking weak. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, he just kept
Or
it
he
rolling.
just-
I'm
he had to keep
surprised
the
he
show
didn't freak
going.
it. Like, right? Somebody just walk up on stage and hit me. Like,
He had a
I
pretty
don't know
important
what I would do.
category,
Would I just keep
documentaries?
going?
Well, and
Like, really?
again,
It's the Oscars.
I wish that Will
cares?
would have like not done the second bit, because I think everyone could have played it off as like, oh, he's just joking, or like it was like a bit,
That would have been
But the
comfortable for you.
screaming,
Gosh.
the screaming, like that was a lot.
It looks like he what's
he
this?
kind of
What
preps
is the
for
dance
it.
thing
Look,
called?
look at his face in the upper
whoa.
left box. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Oh, yeah, like he's got to punch him down.
Chris Rock was not. That's a face of someone who's not.
He was not
seeing what
prepped
was
at all. He was
coming.
like, what's going on?
"What's going on?"
And then he goes,
Jeez.
Oh,
wow, guys.
you could see the rest of the time his mouth was a little bit like when he was talking, like
1776.
Yeah, of course.
No, wait, what's the duel song?
Oh gosh, ouch, ouch, ouch.
So bad.
I think I'm Team Chris too.
You already said that.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we're all on
I
the
think
same team. I would
it's a
hate
hard-
to
it's
go to
really
war with
hard.
you
As a
guys.
comedian, as
It's
a budding
hard to be
comedian,
on Will's side on this. I mean, he obviously, even he was like,
there's a small part of me that is like, I don't
Violence
know.
is the answer.
No, not violence is the answer, because it's not. But there's a part of me that relates, like, defend your wife, like, or just like defend the
Yeah.
people you
You
love.
could have used your
and
words,
I almost,
though.
I
Just
almost,
use the words.
I think it's because he gaslit me, dude. His acceptance speech
You
fully
liked his
gaslit me.
his
I was like,
acceptance speech?
oh, I get it.
Oh, yeah,
like
we
in the
watched the whole
moment,
thing.
I was like, oh, right, he's defending
watched
his
that and I was like,
family.
this is
And then I was like,
sweet.
wait, okay, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
almost,
totally was
like-
gaslighting.
Right? Like
Yep.
he tried to be like, hey, you know what I did was totally justified, and so sorry if you don't agree.
Art
Like
imitates
sorry
life.
if you
Did
got
you know
hurt feelings
that?
by
Did
it.
you know that Richard did this for his
Yes,
daughters?
like I'm actually method acting right now.
Yeah, that was
and
really
So
then,
psycho.
And then on TikTok, someone said, "Oh, if you watch that movie, it's actually their mom who protected them,
Yikes.
not their dad."
Yeah, that's a lot.
And
I
then
think
the
he's going through
TikToks-
something.
the TikToks
He
of
obviously
Jada
is going
Pinkett
through
Smith
something.
saying
and-
like, "I don't care what people say about me."
I saw an interesting perspective about Jada Pinkett Smith, is that a lot of people think that Jada like was the one that kind of obviously instigated it, because her reaction, had she just like taken it on the chin and like laughed about it, we could have avoided the whole thing, because obviously we saw Will thought it was kind of funny, but she had this weird like, and again I sent you guys all the TikTok of the one where she's like, I don't care what people think about
Yes.
and
That's what Cara was saying.
and
Yeah.
so I think a lot of people think, and I kind of agree to some extent, that she was kind of looking for some sort of attention by being like, "That's not funny," and it's like, well, wait, hold
And
on,
it's like,
you
and
just
then
talked
he
I
about
wish
just
we
it.
freaked out and
could
was
have
like, "That's
seen-
not. You're right. That's not funny."
I wish
and
we
then she's
could have
like, "Dude, it
seen
was a
the
joke."
like the in between us seeing Will Smith laugh, her rolling her eyes,
she
'cause
gets
it
out
cut
of
to
it.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
I wish we could have seen like kept on them just a little bit longer
they
to
know what
see
they're
her
doing.
look at Will probably and be like, "Are you gonna do something about this?"
Yeah.
Because she kind of gets out of it with like her image, right? Like
Yep.
she's kind of the reason. I mean, the joke was about her, and like I said, everybody enjoyed it except for her. And then Will does his irrational act, and then she's like, growth is happening and I'm here for it. It's like, what? I'm
like,
sorry, you
who's growing?
can't even take it seriously.
Yeah, I bet
like,
you right
what?
off camera, she's going, "Bro, it was a joke."
Yeah.
She's going, "Bro, pranked you."
Thanks, yeah.
I think this
Just
is
kidding.
Oh, you think that's serious?
perfect way to.
Oh, you,
My wife's name
Hey.
There's so many remixes already.
Hey.
One said every
Wait,
every
play
college
play
DJ right now.
Genie one. Genie one. Genie
that's
one.
every college DJ right now. This one might be my favorite.
So good. So good.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, maybe that's a Ryan and John react after this. Maybe we just go into the
oh my
best
God.
tweets
Until-
and TikToks.
Next award season, right?
Hey,
Ugh.
until next week.
The Grammys are next week.
No, hey, you know what? Screw
Oh,
award shows.
What did we learn from
I
this?
only had one
Let me just
podcast.
remind you
Me too.
is that I had no
yeah, me too.
intention of watching the Oscars. I had
Yeah.
no intention.
And yet you were.
And now, hey, Oscar.
Oscar, hey,
Oscar.
my boy.
I can't believe
Oscar.
Marty the zebra slapped Oscar the fish over Gloria the hippo.
I saw that. That's pretty good.
Opposite.
We'll see you
Marty-
next week on
What the Podcast?